Hello, my dear friend. Welcome to our English learning podcast. I am very happy that you are here with me today. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Here, we are like a small family. We learn English together in a calm and happy way. If you have listened before, thank you for coming back. It is really nice to have you here again. Today, we have a special episode. We will learn something very useful. This is something that can help you in real life. It can help you make new friends. It can also help you feel more confident when you speak English. Today, we will learn how to answer a very common question. Tell me about yourself. Sometimes this question can feel a little scary. You might not know what to say, but after today, you will feel ready. You will feel confident. You will know exactly what to say when someone asks you this question. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with me. I am really happy you are here. Before we start, if you like this podcast, please think about following or subscribing. This helps other English learners find us and join our community. I have a small question for you. Where are you listening from today? I like to imagine all the different places in the world where our friends are. You can write it in the comments if you want. It makes me very happy to know where you are. Okay? Are you ready? Let's take a deep breath together. Breathe in and breathe out. Wonderful. Let's begin. Section 1. Why introductions can feel difficult. Let's imagine something together. Picture yourself at a party. It is a warm and sunny day. You are at a barbecue. There are friends and family around. You are holding a plate with some food. You have a cold drink in your hand. You feel relaxed. Now, a person you do not know comes to you. This person is very friendly. They have a big, warm smile. They look at you and ask a simple question. So, tell me about yourself. What happens in that moment? How do you feel? Does your stomach feel a little strange? Does your heart start to beat faster? Does your mind suddenly go blank? You want to say something smart. You want to say something interesting, but you don't know where to start. Maybe you just say your name. Uh, I'm Sarah. I work in an office. Then, silence. An awkward, quiet moment. It feels very long. If this has happened to you, know this. You are not alone. Many people feel this way. Lots of adults feel nervous when they introduce themselves. Research shows that feeling nervous when introducing yourself is very common. A study from a special school found something interesting. 73 out of 100 people feel nervous. They freeze. They cannot think of what to say, or they say something clumsy. This is a feeling that people all over the world understand. Everyone has this moment of worry. We all feel some pressure. We think we need to be interesting. We want to be remembered. But often, we do not know how to start, what to say, or when to stop. It can feel difficult and stressful. But here is the wonderful news. Today, we will solve this problem. You can change this nervous feeling. You can turn that awkward moment into a great conversation every single time. You can feel confident and relaxed when people ask about you. Today, I will give you a simple formula, a 3-step plan that is very easy to remember. This formula will help you avoid awkward silence. You will not need to memorize long paragraphs. Those long speeches can sound fake and unnatural. You will not need to only talk about your successes. Talking only about success can sometimes make people feel uncomfortable. This is just a simple and easy pattern. Think of it as a small map for your mind. You can use it anywhere. You can use it at parties, in a new class at school, on a video call with new people, or even while waiting for coffee. You only need to learn it once. You practice it a few times, and soon you will speak confidently without trying. With this formula, you will start real conversations. You will make new friends. You will not feel worried at all. This method is not about changing who you are. It is about showing the real you in an easy and natural way. It helps other people connect with the wonderful person you really are. Let's be honest, most people answer this question in a difficult way. When someone asks, "Tell me about yourself," people panic. They feel like it is a test about their whole life. So they start talking too much or too little. They share too much information, or they feel very shy and say almost nothing. But you don't have to feel like that. You can change everything. You can answer this question in a calm, confident, and natural way. And the best part? Every time you practice, you become better and stronger. You can do this. When people introduce themselves, sometimes the other person learns very little about them. Think about it. What is the first thing you usually say? Maybe you say your job or where you are from, or maybe you talk about your pet. This is just a list of facts. It is like dumping a lot of information on the other person at once. Our brains do not like this. The human brain is not made for long lists of facts. The human brain loves stories. We enjoy stories. We want to hear a narrative. We want to feel a connection. We want to hear something that makes us think, "Oh, me too." When you just list facts, it is hard for the other person. Facts like your job, your hometown, or your pet's name make their brain work very hard. They are listening and trying to find something to connect with. This is tiring for their brain. And what happens when someone feels tired in a conversation? They give a polite nod. They say, "That's interesting," and then they try to leave the conversation. They are not being rude. Their brain is just tired. They did not find a connection. They did not feel involved. So, how can we fix this? The solution is simple and beautiful. You need to structure your answer. Make it easy for the other person to understand and connect with you. You want them to feel that "me too" moment or make them feel curious about you. We want to invite the other person into a conversation. We do not want to show them a closed book. We can do this using a simple model called Present Past Spark. It is short, easy, and designed to pull the other person into the conversation with you. It helps you open a door for connection. Section 2. The Present Past Spark Formula. This formula will help you turn any introduction into a story that is interesting, natural, and fun for both you and the other person. You can start using it today and feel more confident immediately. So, what is this magic formula? It is very, very simple. That is why it is so powerful. It has only 3 parts, just 3 short steps, and you are ready to start a great conversation. Here it is. Part 1, the present. You begin with where you are right now. Talk about this moment or place. Connect yourself to what is happening now. This makes it easy for the other person to understand and feel part of the conversation. Part 2, the past. Share one small piece of your story from the past. Just one little detail. This detail can explain how you got here or why you are interested in this moment. It is not your whole life story, just one interesting thread that helps the other person see more about who you are. Part 3, the spark. This is the secret part, the magic ingredient. The spark gives the other person a chance to join the conversation. It can be a question, an observation, or a fun fact. It is an invitation for them to talk. It is friendly, not demanding. That is the whole formula. Present, past, spark. 3 easy steps. You can use it in many ways, and it is never boring. This is a framework, not a script you need to memorize. You do not need to say the same words every time. It gives you a structure, a map to build a natural and fun introduction. You can use this formula anytime, anywhere. It is flexible and easy to adapt, and most importantly, it works. It really works. You will see that people respond positively, and conversations become easy and enjoyable. Section 3. Present. Connect to the moment. Let's look at the first part, the present. Many people make mistakes here. When someone asks about them, they start with their job. They say, "Hi, I'm a project manager." This is fine for a professional website, but at a party or a friendly meeting, it can be a little boring. It does not start a fun conversation or make people feel connected. When you connect to the present, you make the other person feel involved. You make the conversation lively and interesting. You start building a connection from the very first words. This is your chance to make a strong, confident first impression. And remember, you can do this. You have the power to make introductions easy and fun. If you start by just saying your job, it gives the other person nothing to talk about, unless they have the same job. So, here is a better way. Start with where you are and what is happening right now. Don't start with your job title. Connect yourself to the moment. Connect to the room, the event, or the situation. This is about being present in the moment. For example, imagine you are at a friend's game night. Instead of saying, "I work in marketing," try something about the game. You could say, "I'm the person who always loses at this game." Or, "I'm trying to figure out how to win this game without anyone knowing my plan." This is funny and easy for people to relate to. It shows you are humble, have a sense of humor, and are thinking about what is happening right now. Here's another example. Imagine you are in a new class. Instead of just saying your major, like, "I study history," you could try something different. You could say, "I got here 20 minutes early. I was so worried about traffic." Or, "I'm trying to find the best coffee shop nearby for studying." These sentences do two very important things. They show you are a real person with normal experiences. You are not just a walking job title. They give the other person an easy way to reply. They might say, "Oh, traffic was so bad for me too," or, "I know a great coffee shop. Let me tell you about it." Do you see how this opens a door? It invites a conversation. The main idea is to connect yourself to the place and situation you are in. If you really want to mention your job, that is okay, but try to make it relevant to the situation. For example, if you are at a university, instead of saying, "I am a project manager," you could say, "I manage building projects, so I am curious about this new building on campus. I wonder how long it will take." Or if you are at a design event, instead of saying, "I am a graphic designer," you could say, "I am a graphic designer. I have been admiring the beautiful signs at this event all morning." Do you see the difference? This creates a specific conversation. It is not general or boring. It makes your present statement active and interesting. Here is a special tip for the present part. Use your senses. Talk about what you see, hear, smell, or taste. Humans love sensory details. For example, you could say, "I'm the person who smelled the delicious pizza from down the street. I just followed my nose to this party." This creates a picture in the other person's mind. It makes you seem fun, relatable, and easy to talk to. And remember, every time you practice this, you become more confident. You can do this. You can make every introduction interesting and enjoyable for both you and the other person. And it also gives the other person something to talk about, like food or local restaurants. The goal of your present statement is simple. You want the other person to think, "Oh, I understand that feeling," or that's interesting. I want to know more. It becomes a shared starting point for your conversation. It is your anchor in the now. Section 4, Past. One small piece of your story. Now let's talk about the second part, the past. This is where you give a little glimpse into your story, a very small and interesting glimpse. When I say small, I really mean it. One sentence is perfect. The goal is to give a little context or background. You are not telling your whole life story. Think of it like a teaser for a movie. One interesting sentence explains why you are here now or why you became interested in something. This is not the time to share very personal or sad stories. It is not the time to list all your awards and achievements. It is about sharing a small, relatable human detail. Here is an example. Imagine you are at a dog park talking to another dog owner. Instead of just saying, "I have a dog," try adding a small story. "I got my dog last year. My neighbor's dog had puppies, and one of them kept visiting my house. So now I'm a very proud dog owner." This sentence has a little story. It has warmth and humor. It explains why you are at the dog park. It is a tiny story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. It makes you feel human and relatable, and it invites the other person to continue the conversation. Here is another example for a professional event. Maybe your present statement was about your interest in coding. Your past statement could be something like, "I was a teacher before." See how small details make your story interesting? You don't need to impress anyone with a long speech. Just share one small part of your life, and it will make people curious. You are building connections naturally, and every time you practice, it becomes easier and more fun. You are capable of doing this. For example, you could say, "My students learned how to hack the classroom smartboard. I realized then that technology was the future, so I learned to code." This sentence shows your personality. It shows that you are willing to learn new things. It tells a specific and memorable story about your career change. It is much more interesting than just saying, "I was a teacher, and now I am a coder." The trick is to choose one detail that explains your curiosity, a change you made in your life, or the start of your passion. You are giving just enough information to make the other person curious. You want them to think, "Oh, really? That's so interesting. Tell me more." By sharing this small piece of your past, you add depth to your story. It helps the other person see you as a full and interesting person. It helps them create a quick, positive picture of you in their mind. Section 5. Spark. Invite them to talk. Now, let's talk about the third and most important part, the spark. This is the real secret. The spark turns your introduction into a real conversation. It is an invitation. It is like handing the conversational ball to the other person. It shows that you want to listen to them too. You are not just talking about yourself, you want to talk with them. There are 3 types of sparks that work very well. The first type is a curiosity question. This is a great one to use. It is simple and easy. It is a question that everyone can answer. For example, what is your favorite kind of coffee? What is the best movie you have seen recently? Do you know any good places for lunch near here? People love to share their opinions and small pieces of knowledge. It is an easy way for them to start talking. It also shows that you are interested in them and in their world. For example, if your present statement was about being new in a city and your past statement was about moving for a job, your spark could be, "I'm still trying to find a good pizza place." This simple step makes the other person feel included. It invites them to continue the conversation naturally. And every time you practice this, it becomes easier and more fun. You are capable of doing this, and you can make every introduction interesting and memorable. Do you have a favorite? The second type of spark is the knowledge gap. This is very smart because the human brain loves to help. When you show that you don't know something, people naturally want to give you the answer. For example, I am looking for the best park in this city. Do you have any ideas? I am trying to decide which new TV show to watch. Any recommendations? When you ask this, you invite the other person to be your guide. You make them feel like the expert. This creates a feeling of teamwork. It makes them feel helpful and smart. Another good example, I just started learning to play the guitar. Do you have any tips for a beginner? The third type of spark is shared vulnerability. This is very powerful, but use it lightly. It creates an instant connection. It makes you seem human and real. It also invites the other person to share something about themselves. For example, I am so bad at remembering names. Do you have any tricks? I always burn the popcorn when I make it. What is your secret for a perfect movie snack? You are sharing a small, normal problem. This makes you seem approachable and friendly. It shows that you are not perfect and that it is okay. It creates a safe space for the other person to be imperfect too. Just remember, keep it small. This is a small, shared problem, not a big personal issue. Choose one of these three sparks. Keep your question light and open. Make sure it is a question you really want to know the answer to. The best sparks are about easy topics. Everyone has an opinion about food or music. Not everyone wants to talk about politics at a party. The spark is a gift you give to the other person. It allows them to join the conversation easily. It shows that you are a kind and thoughtful conversationalist. Section 6. Examples for different situations. Now let's see this formula in real life. Let's look at some examples for different situations. You will see how easy it is to adapt it for each place. Example 1. The first day of college. Present. I'm the person who organized all my classes with different colors. Then I got completely lost trying to find the library. This is relatable and a little funny. It shows your personality, it makes people smile and feel connected to you. Past. I grew up in a very small town. It only had one main street, so this big campus feels like a different planet to me. This explains why you feel a little lost. It adds a specific personal detail that makes your story real and relatable. Spark. What is the most interesting or weird club on campus that I should check out? This is a knowledge gap question. It invites the other person to share their experience. Why this works? It is friendly and fun. It shows you want to be part of the new community. It gives them an easy way to help you. Example 2. In the kitchen at a shared office. Present. I'm the new marketing person working from home. I keep drinking all the good coffee from the kitchen, even though I bring my own. This is funny and specific to the place. It shows you are aware of your actions. Past. I used to work for a company that made hot sauce. So now my brain is always a little spicy and needs a lot of coffee. This is a unique and memorable story. It explains your coffee habit in a fun way. Spark. Speaking of food, do you have any recommendations for a good cheap lunch around here? I want to eat something other than a sad salad at my desk. This is a knowledge gap question. It talks about a common problem and invites them to share their local knowledge. Why this works? It is light and friendly. It connects to the shared space and asks for simple, practical advice. Example 3. At a wedding reception. Present. I'm the guest who just met the bride yesterday. I'm still trying to learn who is in which family. Many people at weddings feel this way. It shows a little funny confusion. Past. The first time I gave a wedding speech, it was so bad that the music started playing to make me stop. So today, I am just here to enjoy the food and be quiet. This is a funny, self-deprecating story. It is memorable and explains why you are feeling relaxed. Spark. Since you have been here longer, what do you think is the better choice for dinner? The chicken or the fish? This is a curiosity question. It is playful and invites a shared opinion about the event. Why this works? It is friendly. It is about the shared event and asks for a fun, low-pressure opinion. Example 4. In a virtual meeting online. Present. I am the person with the messy bookshelf in the background. I still have not learned how to use a virtual background. This is a very common and relatable tech problem. It is funny and self-deprecating. Past. I started learning to code during the pandemic. Making bread felt too popular, so I chose coding instead. And now I love it. This is a unique and timely story. It shows you are proactive and curious. Spark. Has anyone here actually read all the rules for this video program? Or did we all just click, I agree, without reading? This is a shared vulnerability and a curiosity question. It is funny and invites people to agree with you. Why this works? It uses humor about the online format. It asks a question that almost everyone can relate to. Example 5. At a family reunion. Present. I am the cousin who is not allowed to use the big barbecue grill. I always drop the food, so I am in charge of the small snacks. This is a relatable family role. It shows a small, funny weakness. Past. My grandmother paid me to learn the piano when I was a kid, but I secretly taught myself how to play the guitar instead. She was not happy about it. This is a classic family story. It shows your personality and might make other family members remember similar things. Spark. What do you think is the secret ingredient in Aunt Mary's famous apple pie? I am sure it must be magic. This is a knowledge gap and curiosity question. It focuses on a shared family memory and invites them to share a family secret. Why this works? It connects to shared family history. It uses humor and asks about a specific loved part of the family culture. Do you see the pattern in all these examples? The spark is always a gift, not a demand. It is an open door. It is a gentle invitation. It lets the other person join the conversation comfortably. It makes it easy for them to talk, share, and connect with you. Section 7. For professional situations. Now, let's talk about an important place. Professional settings. This can be a job interview, a networking event, or a meeting with a client. In these situations, the question, "Tell me about yourself," has a different goal. The goal is not just to make a friend. The goal is to show your professional value. You want to show that you are a good fit for the job or the company. The present past spark formula still works here, but the content is different. It is more strategic and more focused. In a job interview, the interviewer is not asking about your favorite pizza. They are thinking about your skills and your experience. They want to know how you can help their team. So we can adjust our formula slightly. Instead of present past spark, we can think present past future. Here, the spark becomes your future goal. Present. This is your current job, but it is more than just a title. It is about the value you create. What problem do you solve now? Example. Instead of, I am a data analyst, try, I am currently a data analyst. I help my company understand complex information. I turn that information into simple ideas that help the company grow. This shows your value clearly. Past. This is a short story from your career. It explains how you got your skills. It shows why you are interested in this job. Think of it as your professional origin story. Example: I actually started my career working in a shop at night. I became very curious about why some products sold quickly and others did not. This curiosity led me to study customer behavior, and that path brought me to data analytics. This shows that you are curious and a problem solver. It is much better than just listing your old jobs. Spark, professional future. In professional situations, the spark is about the future. This is not a casual question. Here, you connect yourself to the company and show your excitement for the role. You show that you have done your research and that you are genuinely interested in their work. Example: job interview. I was very excited to read about your company's new project on sustainable packaging. I am very interested in how you measure success for your customers. Could you tell me a little more about your process? This shows that you are prepared, curious, and engaged. It invites them to talk about their work. Example: networking. I love connecting with creative people in this field. I know someone who creates amazing new packaging from recycled materials. If that is interesting for your work, I would be happy to introduce you. This is generous and helpful. It shows that you are a valuable connection, not just someone asking for something. Key idea: in professional settings, preparation is the most important thing. Your present, past, and spark or future must connect to the specific job and the company's goals. Research the company, understand their challenges, and frame your story to show how you can help solve their problems. This is your short story that proves you are the right person for the opportunity. Section 8. Common mistakes to avoid. Even with a perfect formula, it's easy to make mistakes. There are some common traps, which we can call conversational landmines. You want to walk around them, not step on them. 1. The resume recital. This is when you read your resume out loud. You list every job, every school, every date. Example: from 2015 to 2017, I worked at Company A. Then in 2017, I moved to Company B. This is boring and not personal. People stop listening. Remember, they want a story, not a list of facts. Your introduction is not a spoken CV. 2. The therapy session. This is when you share too much personal information. Talking about deep personal problems, like health, family, or relationships, is not appropriate for a first meeting. A little vulnerability is okay, but too much can make people feel uncomfortable. Keep your introduction light and positive. The new person you meet is not your therapist. 3. The humble brag. This is when you try to sound humble but actually brag. Example: it was so hard to finish my project. I was just so busy after my big promotion. This sounds insecure, not confident. True confidence is quiet and natural. Bragging like this can make you seem not genuine. 4. The dead-end fact. This is information that leads nowhere. It is impossible to reply to. Example: I am tall, or my favorite color is blue, or I was born in May. The conversation stops. Every piece of information you share should be a hook. It should invite a question or connection. 5. The question attack. A spark is a good question, but asking too many questions in a row is bad. It feels like an interrogation. Example: what's your favorite movie? What about books? Do you like to travel? Where have you been? This is too much. Ask one question, then stop. Listen carefully to their answer. Give them space to talk. A conversation is like a dance, not a quiz. You take a step, then they take a step. Key idea: avoiding these mistakes is just as important as learning the formula. Be mindful, stay present, and be truly interested in connecting with the other person. Don't just broadcast information about yourself. You might be thinking, this formula is great, but how do I say it so it sounds natural? I don't want to sound like a robot. That is a really good question. The answer is simple: practice. Like any new skill, you need to practice, but you need to practice smartly. Here is what you can do. First, take your phone and open the voice recording app. Now, record yourself. Say your present past spark introduction for different situations. Imagine you are at a party. Imagine you are in a new class. Imagine you are at a professional event. Try to make your introduction about 45 seconds long or 1 minute maximum. Now, listen to your recording carefully. Be honest with yourself. Does it sound interesting to you? If you feel bored listening to yourself, other people will feel bored too. Listen for words like uh, or like. These are called filler words. Try to use them less. Also, listen for general or vague words like I do stuff or it's a good thing. These are not specific. Try to replace them with clear and specific words. For example, instead of saying I work in design, you could say I designed mobile app screens that help people with their fitness. See the difference? It is specific, clear, and gives the other person a real picture. Specificity is your friend. After improving your introduction, it's time to practice in the real world. Start in safe, low-risk places. The line at a coffee shop is perfect. You could say to the person next to you, present, I'm the person who always orders the strongest coffee. Past, I usually work late on my projects. Spark, what is your favorite drink to start the day? It's simple and friendly. You can also practice in an Uber, in a taxi, in an online chat group, or in the few minutes before a meeting starts. These are small wins. Every time you use the formula and it works, your brain learns. You are building a new habit and muscle memory for confident introductions. After practicing 10 or 20 times, it will feel natural. You will sound spontaneous, charming, and confident. You won't even think about the formula anymore. It will become a natural part of how you communicate. Your voice and energy. Your words are important. They open the door to conversation, but your voice and energy are just as important. They are what invite people to join in. Your voice and energy are like a nonverbal handshake. They show that you are warm, open, and confident. Even the best words can fail if your energy says, go away. Here are some tips for your voice and energy. Relax your body. When your body is relaxed, your voice will be relaxed. Take a deep breath before speaking. Let your shoulders drop. A relaxed body creates a warm, friendly voice. Smile with your voice. People can hear a smile. When you smile, your tone becomes warmer and more approachable. You don't need a big grin. A small smile works. Just a gentle, small smile can make a big difference in how you sound. Speak calmly and clearly. When we are nervous, we often speak very fast. Try to speak a little more slowly than you normally do. This helps you sound more confident. It also makes it easier for the other person to understand you, especially if you are speaking English as a second language. Remember, your voice, your energy, and your words all work together to create a friendly and confident introduction. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep connecting with people. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you feel more confident and ready to start real conversations. Keep practicing, and remember, every small step brings you closer to being your best, natural self. Goodbye for now, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Keep smiling and keep shining. Hello and welcome. I'm really glad that you're here today. This video was made especially for people who want to get better at English. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner or already know some English. This story will help you practice both reading and listening. You can read the words on the screen and listen to how they sound in natural English speech. In this video, you will hear a simple but meaningful story about a boy who lives in a small village. His life is not easy, and he has to face many problems. But he works hard, stays strong, and never gives up. Through his journey, he learns valuable lessons about life and success. While you listen and read, you will learn new words and see how English sentences are built. You will also improve your speaking and listening skills. Listening to stories is one of the best ways to learn English because you can hear the right pronunciation, rhythm, and tone of the language. Reading at the same time helps your eyes get used to English words and expressions. You can stop the video whenever you want to repeat a part, practice speaking, or look up a word you don't understand. You can also listen again to notice how the sentences sound natural and smooth. This video is perfect for anyone who wants to feel more confident when speaking English. It will also give you motivation and teach you life lessons that can inspire you every day. So, relax, open your heart and mind, and enjoy the story. Remember, learning English is not just about speed, it's about the journey. Every small step you take brings you closer to your goal. Let's start this reading and listening practice together. Thank you for spending your time learning English with me today. I hope this story will be useful and inspiring for you. Chapter 1. A Simple Life in a Small Village. In a quiet little village surrounded by green hills and rice fields, there lived a boy named Za. His house was small and simple, built from wood and bamboo, and when it rained, water sometimes leaked through the roof. Za lived there with his parents and his younger sister. They didn't have much money, but they had love and care for each other. Za's father was a farmer, and his mother sold fresh vegetables in the village market. Every morning, before the sun even rose, the whole family woke up and started another long and busy day. Za was only 12 years old, but he already understood how hard life could be. He wore old clothes and shoes with holes in them. He didn't even have a school bag. Instead, he carried his books in a plastic bag because his family couldn't afford a new backpack. Still, Za never complained. He knew his parents worked very hard, and he wanted to make them proud. After school, Za always helped his father in the fields. He carried heavy buckets of water, pulled out weeds, and sometimes planted rice. His hands were small, but he worked with all his strength. In the evenings, after dinner, he studied by candlelight because electricity didn't always work in their home. Sometimes Za felt very tired. Sometimes he wanted to stop. But deep inside, he had a dream of a better life. He wanted to become a teacher and help other children learn, especially those who lived in poor villages like his. Za believed that education could change everything. It could help his family escape poverty, send his sister to school, and make their lives easier. But most importantly, it gave him hope. At school, Za was quiet but curious. He always asked questions, even when other students laughed at him. That didn't bother him. He loved learning. His favorite subject was English, and he practiced speaking every day, even when he was alone. Sometimes he stood in front of the mirror and repeated sentences, trying to sound like people on the radio. Za believed that if he learned English well, more opportunities would open for him. But life in the village was often difficult. When the rains didn't come, the crops failed, and the family had very little to eat. Za had to walk 5 kilometers to school, and when it rained, the path became deep mud. Still, he never missed a day of school. He wrapped his books in a plastic bag and kept going. Some of his classmates made fun of him. They laughed at his old clothes and dreams. "You think you'll be a teacher?" they said. "Look at you. You don't even have shoes." But Za didn't say anything back. He remembered his father's words. "People may laugh at you, but never laugh at yourself. Believe in your dream, even if no one else does." Those words stayed in Za's heart. Every night when the village was quiet, he opened his books and studied. He learned new words, practiced reading, and wrote in his little notebook even when there was no space left on the pages. He didn't know how it would happen, but he believed that something good would come if he just kept going. One evening, his mother saw how hard he was working. She brought him a small surprise, an old English book she had found in the market. "It's not much," she said softly, "but I know you'll use it well." Za's eyes filled with happiness. He opened the book right away and started reading. From that day, the book became his greatest treasure. He read it every night until he knew every word by heart. Za didn't have a computer or the internet. He didn't have a private teacher or a language center, but he had something much more powerful: strong determination. He knew that if he wanted to change his life, he had to start with himself. He had to wake up early, study hard, work harder, and never give up. Each day in the village looked the same: school, farm work, studying. But Za believed that these small, simple days were building something great. He didn't know when or how his dream would come true, but he knew why. He wanted a better life for his family, his sister, and himself. And so, the boy from the small village kept moving forward, quietly, slowly, but with a heart full of fire. After school, Za always studied alone. He used his old English book, his small notebook full of notes, and his big dreams to guide him. Every evening, he sat by the candlelight, repeating words, writing sentences, and reading stories in English. Little by little, he started to see progress. His handwriting became neater, his grammar improved, and he could now understand more English stories than before. He even started to help his younger sister with her school lessons, explaining words and sentences to her. Inside his heart, Za began to think, maybe I really can become a teacher one day. At the end of the school year, a big English exam was coming. It was an important test. If Za passed it, he would move to the next level and win a scholarship to study at a better school in town. That school had computers, real English teachers, and even a big library full of books. For Za, it felt like a dream that was finally within reach. He studied harder than ever before. Every night he stayed up late practicing his English. He spoke aloud to improve his pronunciation, repeated new words again and again, and wrote short essays in his notebook. He had never worked so hard for anything in his life. His mother encouraged him, saying softly, "We believe in you, Za." His father smiled proudly but said little. His eyes showed hope and love. The whole family felt excited and full of faith that Za could make his dream come true. Finally, the day of the exam arrived. Za woke up very early, put on his cleanest clothes, and walked to school with his heart beating fast. He felt nervous but also ready. In the exam room, he tried to stay calm. He read every question carefully and answered as best as he could. Some questions were easy, but others were more difficult than he expected. Still, he didn't give up and did his very best. When the exam was over, Za felt proud of himself. He believed he had done well. Walking home, he smiled, imagining what life would be like at the new school in town. He could see himself studying in large classrooms, speaking English with confidence, and one day returning to his village as a real teacher. But a week later, everything changed. The exam results were posted on the school wall. All the students ran to look at them, shouting and pointing at their names. Za's heart pounded as he pushed through the crowd to find his own. He searched once, then again. His name wasn't there. At first, he thought it was a mistake. He checked again, his hands shaking. But no, the truth was clear and painful. He had failed. He didn't pass the exam. The scholarship was gone. The dream of studying in the town school disappeared in a single moment. Everything he had worked so hard for seemed to vanish right before his eyes. Za walked home slowly that day, his heart feeling heavy and empty. The road that once felt full of hope now seemed endless. When he entered the house, his mother looked at his face and instantly understood what had happened. She didn't need to ask. His father stayed silent too, but the sadness in the small room was deep and painful. That night, Za didn't open his books. He didn't light the candle. He simply lay on his bed staring up at the ceiling, lost in thought. Maybe I'm not smart enough, he thought sadly. Maybe the others were right. Maybe I was just dreaming too big. The next morning, Za didn't want to go to school. He felt embarrassed and ashamed. He imagined his classmates laughing at him and his teacher feeling disappointed. But then he saw his little sister getting ready for school. She tied her books together with a piece of string, smiled at him, and asked softly, "Will you still help me with my homework today?" Za looked into her bright eyes, eyes full of trust and love. In that moment, he realized something important. His dream was never just about himself. It was about his family, about hope, and about showing others that failure doesn't mean the end. It only means you have to stand up and try again. That night, Za picked up his old English book once more. He lit the candle, opened his notebook, and started studying again. He didn't know when his next chance would come, but he made a strong promise to himself. He would never quit. Failure had hurt him deeply, but it also woke something powerful inside him. It reminded him how much his dream truly meant. From that day on, Za's heart became stronger and more determined. He whispered to himself, "I failed once. That's true. But I will rise again. I will try harder. I will not stop until I succeed." Chapter 3. Working harder than everyone else. The failure left a scar in Za's heart. but he refused to let it break him. Instead, it lit a fire inside him, a fire to succeed. He made a quiet promise to himself. From now on, I'll work harder than anyone else. I'll give everything I have. Every morning, Za woke up before sunrise. While the rest of the village was still asleep, he was already walking through the misty fields with his father. The ground was cold and wet with dew, and the air was fresh and quiet. Together they carried buckets and tools, planting seeds, pulling out weeds, and watering crops. The work was hard, and the sun was hot, but Za never complained. He knew his father worked this hard every single day just to feed their family. Za wanted to be strong like him, strong in both body and spirit. After helping in the fields, Za quickly washed, changed his clothes, and grabbed his books. He had only a few minutes to eat breakfast before walking 5 long kilometers to school. The path was rough and full of stones, and during the rainy season, it turned into deep, sticky mud. Sometimes his shoes got stuck and his clothes got dirty, but he didn't care. He had a goal in his heart, and nothing could stop him. At school, Za always sat in the front row. He listened carefully to every word the teacher said. He took neat notes, asked many questions, and stayed focused from the first minute to the last. While some students passed notes or whispered jokes to each other, Za kept his eyes on the blackboard. He didn't have expensive textbooks or a smartphone to look up new words, but he used everything he did have: his mind, his ears, and his heart. After school, while others played football or rested under the trees, Za went straight home to help his mother. He carried heavy buckets of water from the well, collected firewood, and helped prepare dinner. His little sister followed him everywhere, smiling and asking questions. No matter how tired he was, Za always found time to teach her a few English words. He spoke slowly, explained their meanings, and listened patiently, just like a real teacher. In the evening, after dinner, when the house became quiet and everyone else was resting, Za opened his books once again. Sometimes the electricity went out and the room was dark, but that didn't stop him. He lit a small candle and continued reading. The soft light danced on the pages as he studied carefully, line by line. He had a small notebook where he wrote down new English words. The notebook was covered with plastic to protect it from the rain. It was one of his most precious things. Whenever Za came across a difficult sentence, he repeated it over and over until he understood every word. He didn't study only English. Za also worked hard on math, science, and Burmese, but English was special to him. It felt like a key that could open doors to the world, to new ideas, to a future he couldn't even imagine yet. Sometimes he felt very tired. Sometimes his eyes wanted to close and his body begged for sleep. But he pushed himself to stay awake. He often whispered to himself, "If I don't work now, I will stay here forever. But if I try, maybe my life will change." Weekends were never for rest. While other children spent their time playing or relaxing, Za used those days to work even harder. On Saturdays, he went with his mother to the market, helping her carry heavy baskets of vegetables and sell them to customers. On Sundays, he visited the temple and politely asked the monks if he could borrow old books. He read everything he could find: books with missing pages, torn covers, or words he didn't understand. And when he didn't understand something, he didn't give up. He asked his teacher for help, or older students, or anyone who could explain. He kept repeating the lesson until it became clear. He no longer felt shy about asking questions. He had learned that asking questions wasn't a weakness. It was a sign of courage and a desire to learn. Over time, people began to notice the change in him. His teacher said proudly, "Za, you are improving very fast." The same classmates who once laughed at him now came to him for help with their homework. Even the village elders smiled kindly when they saw him reading under a tree or walking to school with his books wrapped carefully in plastic. But Za didn't let the praise change him. He stayed humble and focused. He knew he still had a long journey ahead. He hadn't reached his dream yet, not even close, but he felt stronger now, more confident and disciplined. For him, studying was no longer just about school. It was about growing as a person, building discipline, and preparing himself for the next big opportunity. Every day was another small step forward, and step by step, Za was becoming something greater than he had ever imagined. Chapter 4. People laugh, but he keeps going. Za had changed a lot. He was no longer the quiet boy who sat at the back of the classroom, too shy to speak. Now he worked hard, asked questions, and helped other students. But not everyone understood or supported him. Some people still laughed at his dreams. At school, a few classmates made fun of him. "Look at Za with his broken sandals and old books," they said. One boy even joked, "He thinks he will be a teacher, maybe even a rich man someday." Others laughed loudly and teased him. "Maybe next year he will fly to London." Za could hear their laughter. It felt like a sharp pain in his chest. At first, it made him sad. He wanted to explain himself. "I'm not better than you. I just want a better life." But then he remembered something important he had learned. You don't need to answer every voice. Sometimes the best thing to do is just keep walking forward. After class, when other children went home to play or rest, Za went to the small library. It was dusty and had only a few English books, but to him, it was like a treasure chest. He sat in a quiet corner and read carefully. His classmates noticed and laughed again. "Why waste your time?" they said. "English won't help you in the village." Even some adults in the village didn't understand him. One man said, "Za is a good boy, but he dreams too big. He should focus on farming, not English." Another woman whispered, "He thinks he's smarter than the rest of us." Za heard their words, but he remembered what his mother had told him. "Don't worry about what others say. Worry about what you believe." So he kept going. He kept waking up early to help his father in the fields. He kept walking the long road to school, rain or shine. He kept reading by candlelight when there was no electricity. He kept writing down new words and repeating them until they became a part of him. Sometimes he felt lonely and wished someone would say, "You can do it." But then he looked at his little sister, who still asked him for help with her homework, and at his father, who smiled proudly when Za shared what he had learned in school. That was enough to keep him going. One day, a new teacher came to the village school. She was young, kind, and spoke English very well. During class, she noticed Za always had his hand raised. After school, she called him over and asked, "Why do you work so hard, Za?" Za looked down for a moment, then spoke quietly, "Because I want to change my life. I want to help my family, and I believe English is my way." The teacher smiled warmly. "That's a beautiful reason," she said. "Keep going. You're on the right path." Her words felt like a light inside Za. For the first time, someone outside his family had noticed his effort and truly believed in him. Later, when Za returned to the library, he noticed something different. One of the boys who had laughed at him before was sitting quietly nearby, reading a book. Za looked at him, and the boy looked back but said nothing. Maybe he was curious. Maybe deep down, he also wanted to learn. Za didn't say a word. He just smiled and turned back to his own book. Over time, the laughter became less and less. Some classmates still made jokes, but many started to respect him. They saw that Za didn't give up, that he didn't care about old clothes, money, or showing off. He cared about learning, and that gave him real power. Za understood that life would never be easy. There would always be people who laughed, who didn't understand, or who thought his dreams were foolish. But he also knew something stronger. What you believe in matters more than what others say. Every time someone doubted him, he worked harder. Every time someone laughed, he walked forward. Za had a dream, and no one, not the boys at school, not the gossiping villagers, not the voices of doubt, could stop him. Chapter 5. Finding a mentor who changed everything. One hot afternoon after school, Za stayed behind to clean the classroom. His classmates had already gone home, but he didn't mind. As he picked up pieces of chalk and wiped the blackboard, the new English teacher, Miss Theory, came in with a gentle smile. "You're always the last to leave, Za," she said. Za smiled shyly. "I like being here. It's quiet, and I can think." Miss Theory noticed his notebook lying open on the desk. It was full of English words, grammar notes, and small drawings to help him remember things. She flipped through the pages and said, "You've taught yourself a lot. That takes real discipline." Za didn't know what to say. No teacher had ever spoken to him like that before. Then she asked a simple question that changed his life. "Would you like me to help you after school?" Za's eyes widened. "Really? You have time?" Miss Theory nodded. "If you're willing to work, I'm willing to guide you." From that day on, Za stayed after class 3 times a week. Miss Theory helped him with pronunciation, building sentences, and reading stories out loud. She corrected his mistakes, but always kindly. She gave him new books to read, interesting stories written in simple English. She even taught him how to write short essays and letters. But her help wasn't just about English. Miss Theory also taught him how to believe in himself. She often said, "Success isn't about being lucky. It's about being ready when the chance comes." Za listened to every word. Her lessons were more than grammar rules. They were life lessons. She told him stories about her own childhood. She had also grown up in a small village. Her parents were farmers, just like Za's, but she studied hard, received a scholarship, and became a teacher so she could return to help students like him. "Never forget where you come from," she said, "but don't let it decide where you're going." Za began to feel something new inside him: hope. Before meeting Miss Theory, he thought he had to do everything alone. Now he realized he could have guidance, someone to show him the way. But now Za saw that one kind person could make a huge difference in someone's life. One day, Miss Theory handed him a flyer. It was an announcement for a youth English camp in a nearby town. The camp lasted a weekend, and students from different schools came together to learn and practice English. Za looked at the paper nervously. "I've never been to a camp before," he said. "And my English? It's not very good yet." Miss Theory smiled warmly. "That's exactly why you should go. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave." Za asked his parents for permission. At first, they were unsure. The town was far, and they didn't have money for the bus. But when they saw how much it meant to him, his mother quietly sold some vegetables she had saved. His father gave him his old bag and said, "Go and learn. Then come back and teach us." The camp was like a new world for Za. There were more than 50 students, all speaking English, playing games, and sharing ideas. At first, he felt nervous and out of place, but he remembered Miss Theory's words, "Be brave." So he spoke, slowly and carefully. He made mistakes, but no one laughed. In fact, other students clapped for him. A volunteer from Yangon came up after a session and said, "You have a strong voice. Keep speaking." By the end of the camp, Za had made new friends and, more importantly, new dreams. When he returned to the village, he told Miss Theory everything. "I want to join more programs," he said. "I want to become a person who helps others, like you." She nodded. "Then you must keep working and never stop learning." From that point on, Za's learning felt different. He wasn't just studying to escape his struggles, he was learning to grow, to help others, and to build something meaningful. He had found a mentor who believed in him, and that belief gave him wings. Chapter 6. A second chance to prove himself. Za's confidence had grown since the English camp. He was no longer afraid to speak in front of others. His heart still beat fast when he stood up, but now he spoke anyway. He made mistakes, but he kept trying. Each small success gave him more strength. One day at school, Miss Theory made an exciting announcement. "Our school has been invited to take part in the regional English speech competition," she said. "It's a chance to show what you've learned and meet students from other villages." Za sat up straight. His heartbeat raced. A speech competition in English. "You don't have to be perfect," Miss Theory continued. "You just need to speak with confidence and passion." That evening, Za told his parents. They didn't fully understand what a speech competition was, but when they saw the light in his eyes, they smiled. "Try your best," his father said. "We are proud no matter what." Miss Theory helped him choose a topic. After thinking carefully, Za decided to speak about dreams, how even a poor village boy could hope for a better life. The topic was personal. It was his story. Every day after school, he stayed behind to practice. He stood in front of the empty classroom and read his speech aloud again and again. Miss Theory corrected his pronunciation, taught him how to pause, and showed him how to make eye contact. At night, Za practiced at home in front of a small mirror. He watched his face in the mirror, listened carefully to his own voice, and worked hard to improve. His little sister sat nearby, clapping every time he finished a practice round. But not everyone believed in him. "You think you're going to win?" one classmate said. "There are students from big towns with real teachers." "You don't stand a chance," Za felt doubt creeping back. Maybe they were right. Maybe he wasn't good enough. But then he remembered the camp. He remembered how other students had clapped for him. And he remembered Miss Theory's words. "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be brave." So he kept practicing. The day of the competition finally arrived. Za wore his best clothes, clean but simple. His parents walked him to the edge of the village and waved goodbye. "Win or lose," his mother said, "you are already a winner to us." The competition was held at a large school in the town. Za had never seen such a big place. There were over 20 students from different villages and towns. Some had fancy clothes, perfect accents, and beautiful presentation slides. Za had only his voice and his story. When it was his turn, he stepped onto the stage. His hands shook a little, but he took a deep breath. He looked at the judges, then at the audience. He thought of his village, his family, and Miss Theory. And then he began, "My name is Za. I come from a small village where most people don't speak English, but I believe that dreams can grow anywhere." He spoke from the heart. He shared his story, the struggles, the laughter, the late nights, and the hope. His voice was not loud, but it was full of truth. When he finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then applause filled the hall. After all the speeches, the judges announced the results. Za didn't win first place, but he won something even more meaningful, the most inspiring speech award. It wasn't about perfect English. It was about courage, honesty, and effort. He stood on the stage holding the small certificate in his hands. His heart was full. He had proven something, not just to others, but to himself. When he returned to the village, Miss Theory met him at the school gate. "You did it," she said with a proud smile. Za nodded. "I didn't win the competition, but I won a second chance to believe in myself." Chapter 7. The Day of Truth. It was the night before the big exam. Za sat at his small wooden table, the one his father had built long ago. His lamp flickered slightly, but he didn't notice. His eyes stayed focused on his notebook. He had been studying for this test for months. It was the national exam, and it could decide his future. If he passed, he could apply for a scholarship and go to a better school in the city. If he failed, he would have to stay in the village and help on the farm, just like before. There was no second chance this time. He closed his book and looked up at the moon outside. The village was quiet. Everyone else was asleep, but he couldn't rest yet. His heart was full of thoughts. Have I done enough? He asked himself. What if I forget everything tomorrow? He remembered Miss Theory's words. Don't fear the result. Trust your effort. Taking a deep breath, he finally closed his books and went to bed. But sleep didn't come easily. His mind kept repeating formulas, grammar rules, and essay ideas. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the fields. Za got up early, washed his face, and put on his clean school uniform. His mother gave him a small bag with snacks, and his father gave him a strong pat on the back. No words were needed. Their eyes said everything. We believe in you. The exam center was in a nearby town. Za rode there on the back of an old truck with other students. No one spoke much. Everyone was nervous. The air was full of tension. When they arrived, students lined up outside a large school building. Some were reviewing notes. Others whispered to themselves. Za stood quietly, eyes closed, trying to calm his racing heart. A bell rang. It was time. Inside the exam room, the air was cool. Rows of desks stood like soldiers. Za found his seat and sat down. The invigilator walked in with a serious face and handed out the papers. Do not open the test until I say, she instructed. Za stared at the closed paper in front of him. His hands were slightly sweaty. His legs felt heavy. He whispered a small prayer in his heart, not for luck, but for focus. Begin. He opened the test. The first page was English, his favorite subject. He smiled slightly and began writing. Vocabulary, grammar, reading comprehension. Za worked carefully on each part, answering one question at a time. The next part was math. Math was not his strongest subject, but he had practiced every night. When he got stuck on a problem, he closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and remembered what Miss Theory had taught him. Don't panic. Think slowly. Hour after hour passed. His hand ached from writing and his eyes felt tired, but he kept going. Finally, it was time for the last part, the essay. He had to write about a personal goal. His heart jumped. It was the perfect topic. He wrote about his dream of becoming a teacher one day. He described how he wanted to help students in poor villages, just like Miss Theory had helped him. His words were simple but full of meaning. When the final bell rang, he put down his pen. It was over. He walked out of the room feeling both light and heavy at the same time. Some students looked happy, others worried. Za didn't know how to feel. He had done his best, but doubt still whispered in the back of his mind. On the way back to the village, he looked at the passing trees and rice fields. Everything looked the same, but inside, he felt different. He had faced his fear. He had given it everything he had. At home, his parents welcomed him with warm smiles and a hot meal. His little sister hugged him tightly. "Did you win?" she asked. Za smiled. "I don't know yet, but I didn't give up." That's what matters that night. For the first time in many weeks, he slept peacefully. He had faced the day of truth, and he had walked through it with courage. Chapter 8. Success After Struggle. Weeks passed after the exam. Za returned to his daily life, helping his father in the fields, feeding the chickens, and walking his sister to school. But something was different now. He had faced his fear. He had finished the exam with full effort. Still deep in his heart, Za waited for the result. Every day, he walked past the school notice board, hoping the results had arrived. Some classmates looked confident, others worried. Za said nothing. He kept working, studying, and believing. Then one morning, Miss Theory stood outside the classroom holding a paper and a big smile. "The exam results are here," she said. All the students ran to the board. Za's heart pounded. He didn't want to look. What if I failed? What if all my work was for nothing? But then Miss Theory touched his shoulder. "Zahao," she said softly, "you did it. You passed with one of the highest scores in the region." Za's mouth opened in shock. He couldn't speak. His hands began to shake as he read his name next to the words, "Top 5% eligible for scholarship interview." He had done it. The class clapped for him. Even the students who had once laughed at him smiled and gave him a thumbs up. "Well done, Za," one said. "You really worked hard." Za felt a warm pride inside. Not because he wanted to show off, but because this success had come from pain, sacrifice, and effort. He remembered the nights with the flickering lamp, the mornings in the cold fields, and the moments of doubt. It had all led to this. At home, his mother saw his face and didn't need to ask. She hugged him tightly. "I knew you would make us proud," she whispered. His father, a quiet man, nodded strongly. "You've done well, son. You've opened a door for yourself." The news spread quickly through the village. People who once ignored Za now greeted him with respect. "You're the boy who passed the national exam, right?" a shopkeeper asked. "We heard you're getting a scholarship," said the head man. "You're going places." Za felt shy with all the attention, but deep inside he felt something stronger. Hope. If I could do this, what else could I achieve? A few days later, he received a letter from the scholarship office. He was invited to the city for an interview. Miss Theory helped him prepare. They practiced questions, reviewed his answers, and picked his best clothes. Before he left, she gave him a small notebook. "Write your story," she said. "One day it might inspire others." In the city, everything felt big and new. Tall buildings, noisy traffic, bright lights. But Za stayed calm. He walked into the interview room with confidence. The interviewers asked him many questions about his goals, his family, and the challenges he had faced. "Why do you want this scholarship?" one of them asked. Za looked each of them in the eyes and answered, "Because I want to become a teacher and help students like me." I believe every child, even in the poorest village, deserves a chance to dream. There was silence. Then the interviewer smiled. A week later, the final letter arrived. Za had been chosen. He was going to the best school in the region. All expenses paid, books, housing, food, everything. Za held the letter in his hands and cried, not tears of sadness, but of deep, quiet joy. He stood outside his house and looked up at the sky. The stars seemed brighter. The wind felt softer. He whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning." Chapter 9. Giving Back to the Community. Za stepped off the bus and looked around at the village where he had grown up. The dusty roads, the green rice fields, and the small wooden houses all looked the same, but he had changed. After finishing his first year at the new school in the city, he had come home for the holidays. His bag was full of books and his heart full of new ideas. He had learned so much in just 1 year, but now he wanted to do something more. He wanted to give back. The first thing he did was visit his old school. The building still had broken windows. The desks were still scratched and old, but the classroom was full of bright young faces, just like his once had been. The children looked at him with wide eyes. They had heard the stories, the boy from the village who passed the exam, the one who got a scholarship. Miss Theory welcomed him with a smile. "The children look up to you now," she said. "They need someone like you." Za didn't hesitate. "Can I help teach them during my break?" he asked. So, every morning, Za returned to the classroom, not as a student, but as a helper. He taught English, helped with math, and shared tips on how to study. He told the students stories of the city, of the school where he now studied, and how hard work had brought him there. The students listened closely. They started trying harder. They asked more questions. They stayed after class for help. One little boy said, "I want to be like you, Za." Za smiled. "You can. You just have to believe and work hard." But Za didn't stop at the school. In the afternoons, he helped his parents on the farm. He repaired the broken fence and helped his mother carry water. He even showed his father a new way to grow vegetables that he had learned in a science class. In the evenings, he organized a small study group at the village monastery. Children and teenagers came with their books, eager to learn. Za's dream was no longer just about himself. It had grown into something bigger, helping others, inspiring hope, and showing that with determination, anyone could change their life. Some of the children had no electricity at home, so Za brought candles and helped them study by the soft, flickering light. At first, only a few kids came, but soon more joined. The room was full of laughter, learning, and hope. Even the village elders noticed. One of them said, "He went away to learn, but he came back to teach." Za felt proud, but not for himself, for his village and his people. He knew he was not the only one with dreams. Many children had the same fire in their hearts, but they needed someone to show the way. One day, Za gathered the children under a tree and spoke to them. "I was just like you," he said. "I had no special talents. I was poor. I failed once, but I did not give up. And now I am learning in a place I never thought I would reach. You can do the same. Start small. Keep going. One day, you will fly." The children clapped. Some even cried. Parents began to thank Za. One mother said, "My son never cared about school before, but now he studies every night. Thank you for waking up his dream." Za felt something deep inside. It was more than happiness. It was purpose. He now knew that success was not only about going far, it was also about coming back and helping others. Before he returned to the city, the villagers gave him a simple gift, a wooden pen holder made from a local tree. They carved a few words on it for the one who returned with light. Za held it in his hands and promised himself, "No matter where I go, I will always return. I will always help." His journey had started with a dream. Now it had become something bigger, a mission to change lives, one child at a time. Chapter 10. The Real Meaning of Success. He thought about what he had learned. Success is not money or fame. Success is growing, believing, and helping others. Years passed. Zaw finished school, became a teacher, and even wrote a small book about his life. People in other villages knew his name. Some students traveled far just to study in his classroom. His old school grew too. It had more books, better chairs, and brighter students. But even with all the changes, Zaw stayed simple. He still lived in the village. He still helped his parents in the garden. He still walked to school every morning with a smile. One evening, after a long day of teaching, Zaw sat alone outside his small house. The stars shone brightly. The air was quiet, and the only sound was the soft wind moving through the trees. He looked up at the sky and thought, "What is success?" he asked himself. When he was young, he thought success meant leaving the village, becoming rich, or living in the city. He thought success was big houses, shiny cars, and being famous. But now, after everything he had done, he understood something different. Success is not about money or power. It is about growth, how far you have come from being a scared child. It is about belief, how you keep going even when people laugh at you. And most of all, it is about helping others, lifting them up so they can chase their dreams too. He remembered the boys and girls who now filled his classroom. Some had no shoes, some were hungry, but their eyes were full of dreams. Zaw saw himself in them. When they smiled or learned a new word, it felt like magic. That, he thought, was real success. One day, a news reporter came to the school. She had heard about the teacher from the village who inspired hundreds of students. "Do you feel successful now?" she asked. Zaw smiled gently. "Yes," he said, "not because of what I have. I feel successful because I never gave up, because I helped others, and because I wake up every day with a purpose." The reporter nodded. "What advice would you give young people?" Zaw thought for a moment and then said, "Believe in yourself, even when no one else believes in you. Work hard, be kind, and remember, success is not something you take. Success is something you give." After the reporter left, Zaw walked back to the classroom. The children ran to him, laughing and calling, "Teacher! Teacher!" He laughed with them and picked up a piece of chalk. Another lesson was about to start, but inside, he knew the most important lesson was already written, not on the board, but in his life. Success is not a place you reach. It is the journey. It is becoming better than you were yesterday. It is helping others as you grow. It is staying true to yourself, no matter how far you go. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by smiling children and a simple village, Zaw felt something he would never forget. He had truly succeeded. Thank you very much for watching and listening today. I hope you liked the story and found it useful for your English practice. Remember, learning English takes time and patience. Every word you read and every sentence you hear helps you improve. If you like this video, you can watch it again or practice speaking with the story. Listening and repeating many times helps you remember new words and speak better. You can also write your own sentences or tell the story in your own words. This is a good way to build confidence. Learning a new language is not always easy, but it is very rewarding. Stories like this help you learn English and teach important lessons about life and success. Keep believing in yourself and practicing every day. Small steps make big changes. If you want to keep learning, I have many more videos with interesting stories and English lessons. Check them out and continue your learning journey. Your hard work will bring results. Thank you again for spending time with me today. I am proud of you for choosing to learn and grow. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and never give up. English is a skill you can master, and I am here to help you. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye for now, and keep learning.